Hello, fellow traders. Tis I, TheRumpledOne, coming to you on Tuesday, June the 20th. The year's 2023. Let's talk trading. What greed can do for you with Walmal. These videos are for educational purposes only. Your results may differ from mine. Walmal, we had a conversation earlier while we were trading about about greed.
Yeah,
You want to tell the
yeah, I got my,
traders?
sure, I'll be transparent about it. It's one of those things where I got into a trade. I made what I thought I should. I had made a good amount, in the market, and the thing is, it was just one of those blunders. You're up, you hit where your TP should have been. I didn't put a TP there. I moved my TP out of the way, and got myself into a little bit of a mess, and got lucky, in the sense I was able to trade my way out of that mess. But it could have easily been, one of those things where it could have been a really bad day. I don't think I'd ever gotten into a situation where I would have blown my account or anything, because I got just too many things in place to prevent that from happening. But at the same time, here I am, advocating take what you can get, and get out and be happy with what you get. And nope, I got greedy, and I knew that this market. I look at this market. Look at you know. If you put up the H4, just look at what has happened over the last, basically 4 hours almost, and I knew this market was going up. I'm still biased long. That's the funny part.
You're biased long.
But look at the market. I mean, I'm biased long, and for some reason, I'm sitting here looking for long trades, not just thinking this thing's going to go long, and I've got no real reason to believe it. I mean, the charts say everything different, and so that influenced me when I was, way back when I took that trade earlier today. It just shows you what your biases can do to you. Especially when your biases are biased, and you can get yourself into a lot of trouble, and and because of that, if you don't have your text in place, and you don't have a plan in place as to how you're going to try to get out of it, then you're going to get yourself into a lot of trouble. So, what was my plan? That's what it really comes down to. Okay, I screwed up. What was my plan? Well, my first plan is that I look for logical places where I can go, and the first step is, do I really think that the trade was a good trade? And my answer to that question was yes, because if I hadn't answered yes at that point in time, I would have gotten out. I would have just taken the loss, been miserable for the rest of the day, but would have just taken the loss. But I really did believe that the trade was still a good trade, and it was a good trade. And I even was in profit when it turned around and went against me. So what is your next step after that? Okay, is there another logical place where you can go in to try to mitigate some of the damage that was caused? And I found a place where I could go in and mitigate some of the damage. And of course, it continued to go against me, so I had to make another decision. Is this still a good trade? Yes. Okay. Wait, then sit on your hands and wait. Am I, wait to a point where I'm going to hit my stop loss. As most of the traders out there, my stop loss is not based on pips; it's based on dollars. So as long as I've kept my trade under a certain number of dollars, in the losing sense, then I'm willing to sit on it, wait for the next opportunity, and then, lo and behold, another opportunity came up. I jumped in on that trade. It started to come up, and then I was lucky enough because the market provided another entry for me, which was a little bit further up, and the market recovered almost back to where I got myself into trouble in the first place. So I made a bunch of money on the deal, but that was one heck of a way to go and do it. It was not the wasn't the right way to do it, because if I would have done it, and I was telling TRO this earlier today, if I would have done what I was supposed to have done, take the money, off the table, put it into the pocket, and then I would have gotten the short signal, because I was long, take the short signal, okay? I would have made a bunch of money on the way down, gotten out, and then I would have gotten those two other opportunities to get in. And I would have taken those trades and made a whole lot of money going back up. So in the long run, I would have made so much more money than I was ever going to make with my greed. But because I had greed, it prevented me from taking those other opportunities, or I was taking those opportunities to mitigate the damage I caused to myself. And I missed, the trade going down. I totally missed that one.
Yeah, I know. It's one of those things where, like I said, and I had said something earlier about timing. I was doing flip-flop boxes. It seems like everyone I didn't take would have gone in my favor, and everyone I took went against me. And it wasn't in my case, it wasn't a question of greed. It was more just not doing what I'm looking at, just not taking the trade, and probably being biased one way versus the other, which can be a problem. And then it's just like, because see, really, if anything, I should have been biased short, because I've got the chart up, the H4 miss pivot chart, and we had a miss pivot here on June the 15th, the missed H4 pivot. And I believe I talked about it in yesterday's video. And I was saying how I should have just been short at 2,800 and, just wait and aim for that pivot, but I didn't. And sure enough, it hit. That's one of those ones where you just kick yourself.
Yeah. And the thing is, that's the whole thing about, you put yourself into a position where you're not able to take advantage sometimes. And, and you're exactly right. About trading. That's the thing about trading, is that, you can be biased in a particular direction. You can go and look at the chart, but that, the market doesn't move in straight lines.
Yeah. And the other thing, Walmal, about greed, because this happened to both of us today. We were in trades. We got out of trades with a small profit, and then it's just like it kept running in our direction. So the question is, what's the difference between greed and patience sometimes? And I think it's one is if you're being greedy if your target's been hit and you haven't taken the money off the table. I think, isn't that how I defined it the other day?
Yeah, that's exactly how you define it. Here's a reality. Okay, if I wanted to go and say, hey, I'm just going to go and stick in this trade because I really think that it's going to go and run more. I was probably in that trade. I was up maybe 3 pips, something like that. And that was what my TP was set at. And then it turns around and he starts to go against me. Well, what I should have done, okay, and here's the thing, this is the should have done. Okay, ran against me. Okay, I left it out there because I had a bias to thinking it was going to go long. It didn't work out. That's just part of trading. That's going to happen. Okay, and that, I think that's there's good greed and there's bad greed, and I think that would have been a good greed to go and take the chance there. Although my rules say wait till you hit core before you start doing that, so that's kind of a breach of my protocol. But let's just go and assume I had already made core. Okay. What I should have done at that point in time is be objective enough to say the market's not doing what you think the market's doing. Get out. And I should have just got out and maybe taken a 2 or 3 pip loss, and that would have put me in the opportunity to go short there. I would have made so much money going short, because I would have had opportunity after opportunity after opportunity just to go in, make 3 pips, okay, wait for the next short opportunity, okay, make 3 pips, and ran that all the way down for 10, 15 pips, whatever it was. I don't recall anymore, but it was good 10, 15 pips. And then what would have happened is, at the bottom there, I would have probably taken, potentially taken another loss and lost again another 3 pips. So thing is, I would have been up 10, 15 pips. I would have been down maybe 6 pips, but then I had the opportunity to go long again, and it would ran right back up to where I was. And again, I would have had 2 or 3 opportunities of making 3, 4 pips. And that would have just that just shows you that there's nothing wrong with greed as long as the greed is being throttled by what you're actually seeing. It's sort of like if you I always think of that movie. I forget the name of it. Where they tanked the market. They intentionally tanked the market. Then it turns out that the 2 greedy guys went and got taken out because unforeseen things going on, and that's what can happen to us. The thing is, we look at Forex.com. We all look at Forex.com, find out what their news is. The problem is, they'll tell you when the market's going to move in a particular direction at a particular time, usually. But the problem is, all it takes for something to happen is for the president of the United States or prime minister in London or somebody in the EU to come out and say something catastrophic about what's going on in the world, and then out of nowhere you can drop the market 40, 50, 100 pips, and get yourself into a lot of trouble. And so that's why I always go and say, take the pips while you got them, put them in your pocket and walk away. Minimize your risk of being in the market too long, because you never know what's going, especially in these times. You just never know what's going to come out and happen.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. Like you said, anything can happen.
And that's because it's a market, and that's the thing about being a market, and because the reality is that, all that's happening out here is that there's a bunch of people, okay, hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people who are trying to agree on a price. And the problem is, Hero, you and I can't agree on a price. How are we going to get 100,000 people to agree on a price?
Right.
So what does greed have to do with it? Well, greed is what goes and drives the market, and each and every one of us, get into this situation of, trying to figure out what's our participation level in that greed, because let's face it, none of us would be sitting here trying to do this. Nobody's sitting here at the trading terminal, because there probably are some people, but most people who are sitting here at the trading terminal, not sitting here just to go and play some game of ping pong or something, and sort of like sitting in the casino with the one-armed bandit where you're going to lose. No, everybody should be sitting at the terminal being serious about what's going on and trying to figure out, okay, how am I going to go and get an edge on this market? And part of my edge is nothing more than taking what I can while I can and, mitigating the times when it's going against me. Well, that was my fatal flaw this morning. I didn't mitigate quick enough.
Yeah, that's probably all of our fatal flaws, or it's one of our fatal flaws, because we're stubborn. We can be
Exactly right.
stubborn, and that goes against us. Well, traders, once again, the fastest 15 minutes in trading is almost over. So, how about drop a comment there and let us know how greed works for or against you. Be curious to see how other people deal with greed. So, when you're trading, always remember and never forget, it's not what you trade, it's how you trade it. So go out there and drain the banks. This is the Rumpled One, over and out.